Welcome back to BNC Live. How many of you are actually doing some shopping this weekend? I can raise my hand to that. Shopping just lifts your mood and provides some real moments of joy. And it's Self-Care Saturday here on BNC. And our health and wellness expert, Jay Mark, shows us how a little retail therapy can give you a mental uplift. Well, Jane Marks, our mental health and wellness expert, thank you for joining me for Self-Care Saturday.
Well, you know, it's always fun on Saturdays. It's a bright weekend.
I know, we got on our spring colors today.
Absolutely.
So speaking of which, you and I both big-time shoppers. People doing a little bit of spring cleaning right now, but some folks may be adding something to the closets as they're cleaning them out. So let's talk about that. We're talking about retail therapy.
Retail therapy, and isn't that such a guilty pleasure? Don't we love that for those of us that take Saturdays or our days off to go and buy something that's going to self-nurture our spirit and perk us up? But you know, there's some real science behind that. So, and this is good for our audience to know that when we shop, it basically gives us a sense of control at a time where we have lost that sense of control. So, you know, it lifts our spirits. It raises endorphins. Think about this, Brittany. You know, when we plan for a particular shopping experience, I was thinking about, you know, what we would share today, and I remembered when I was 40 years of age, and I saved 5 years, it's a true story, for a watch for my husband. And it was just such a pleasure to go in there and buy this high-end watch. And when he was 40, I presented it, and every time we look at that watch, it serves as a memory. So what we did was we created joy, a piece of memory, and even to this day. And let me tell you what I love about that watch. It's worth so much more than I paid for it back years ago. And so I think there's so many secondary gains from shopping. You don't think about it, you know, besides the pleasure, the visualization. When you go out and you go shopping, you see, of course, you see the sights, the colors, the smells, all of that takes us away from our anxiety that we've been experiencing. So you never think about the secondary gains of shopping. And I think so for a lot of us, it is such a pleasure. Absolute pleasure.
And what is it like for us when we get that high? I know when I'm in the store and I'm like, oh my God, sale, sale, sale. Even yesterday. I can't help it. What do we get out of that?
We get well, first of all, it feels like a reward, you know, and it, just like I said, it feels like, you know, a pleasure and a joy, and it feels like we've accomplished something. So there's so many secondary gains to shopping. We just have to be a little careful if we are a little bit prone towards depression or severe anxiety, or if there's addiction in our family. Because you know what that means? What that means is that we may be a little bit at risk for CBD. Now, what is CBD? Compulsive buying disorder. And it only happens in roughly 5 to 7% of the population, but it does happen. And so when we find ourselves overspending, overthinking, you know, constantly thinking about, well, what am I going to get next? Or buying things that we regret, or hiding things, or here's a big one, we lie about what we're really buying. So we, you know, you've got to be so careful, because like anything else, you know, while retail shopping and retail therapy is such a pleasure, you know, there are some downsides, so you have to always be mindful of your shopping. And again, if you've got those regrets in place, you may really reconsider what you're buying on a regular basis.
And what's some of your recommendations when you go to deal with that? I mean, like you said, we may be feeling down and we want to just go ahead and just spend, but what are your recommendations on dealing with that disorder? Well,
I think, you know, if it's a serious disorder, certainly you want to get help. But if you're very mindful about what you're shopping, if you think about it, if you find yourself going to the same store, looking in the same shoe section, you think, do I really need this pair of shoes? Like most of us have too many pairs of shoes, if we're honest.
Of course, both of us sitting up there. Yeah.
You know, can I return the shoes? You know, in other words, you know, it's just so impulsive on my part, but do I have the opportunity to take it back? You know, and again, you know, the idea of, if this is a situation that you find yourself in, let's say every Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and it's interfering with your thinking, try window shopping. Or back in my day, we used to look at the Sears catalog and just wish. Or, you know, and I'll tell you what a lot of the young girls will tell me. Some of the, when I'm working in the practice, they will say, you know what, I will put all these things into my cart. But then, and I'll feel good, and I'll have this anticipatory rush, but you know what? I won't push the button, and I won't buy it. So you still have that rush, that anticipatory joy, but you just find yourself not getting into any trouble when it comes to spending.